Hello YouTubers and Pokemon fans, this is Cody from the Game Capital. In this video today I will be going over the deck I used this past weekend at Dallas Regionals. The deck is Archie's Blastoise. So the whole point of this deck is to get Blastoise in my discard pile and my hand down to just Archie's Ace in the Hole so that I can put Archie's from my discard pile into play. This deck is only available for play in the expanded format, meaning that you can use cards from the Black and White era, the XY era, and also the Sun and Moon era. So there is a lot of cards to choose from, and I will be explaining why I decided to use this combo over the course of the weekend. Before I go any further talking about which cards I used in this deck, I will just give you a quick recap about how I finished in the tournament. I ended up having a combined record of 9, 1, and 6. So I had 9 wins, 1 loss, and 6 ties. That netted me a total of 30 points, which allowed me to finish in the top 32 at 27th place. Alright, so going into my deck, I played 2 copies of Blastoise. This is the main Pokemon in my deck, and it allows me to attach as many water energies from my hand to my Pokemon in any way I like. I also played the new Tag Team Magikarp and Wailord GX. So the reason why I played this card is because it has 300 HP, meaning that not a lot of Pokemon are going to be able to knock it out. And it also is able to do 180 damage for 5 energies, which is one of the strongest attacks for water Pokemon out there. And its second attack, which is also its GX attack, allows it to do 10 damage. And if you happen to have 7 more water energy attached to it, it'll do 100 damage to each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So this deck is a combo deck, and it can actually get Blastoise out as early as turn 1. And if I go second and get 8 energy on my Wailord, I can do 100 damage to all my opponent's Pokemon before they even have a chance to evolve. And I was able to pull off that combo multiple times over the weekend, and allowed me to win the game. That card is very, very strong, and every time I had to play against it in the mirror match, it was very frightening because I cannot one-shot this Pokemon. So that means my opponent was able to at least attack with it twice. However, even though when my opponent had a opposing Wailord, I was able to use this card, Lugia GX. Its first attack does 30 plus 30 for each energy attached to my opponent's Pokemon, but that is not the main reason why this card was in the deck. It was in there because of its GX attack, which allows you to put your opponent's Pokemon, their active Pokemon to be specific, and all cards attached to it into the lost zone, meaning that it is removed from play until the next game. So if my opponent had a Magikarp and Wailord GX with 8 energy attached to it, this Lugia can just erase it from the game, and most Wailord decks only play 10 to 11 water energy, so they probably wouldn't be able to attack again that game, so then I can just attack them, take all 6 of my prize cards, and win the game. My third attacker in this deck is going to be Volcanion Prism. It's also in here because of its ability, which allows me to just discard a water energy from my hand. This works really well with trying to get off my Archie's Blastoise combo to get my hand down to just Archie's. There is also a secondary effect to this ability, meaning that when I do discard a water, my opponent has to switch their active Pokemon with one of their bench Pokemon, which was very, very handy over the weekend because sometimes my opponent would have Pokemon they're trying to protect on their bench, and I'm just able to force one of them up. Well, my opponent gets to choose, but generally there's going to be a better one that I want to try to knock out. And its first attack, is actually really good as well. It does 100 damage and 20 to all my opponent's bench Pokemon. So if they have any weak Pokemon that have over 100 HP, I can essentially get them down to 100 or less, and then finish them off with Wailord, Magikarp and Wailord. I also play 2 Tapu Lele GX. This allows me to consistently grab supporters from my deck, such as Archie's Ace in the Hole, which will allow me to pull off my combo and get Blastoise in play. It is also a very, very good attacker, doing 20 times the amount of energy attached to Tapu Lele and my opponent's active Pokemon. So there have been instances where I have loaded all of my energy, or most of my energy, onto this card to get a knockout. I also play 2 Shaymin EX. If I was to play the deck again, I would consider playing a 3rd Shaymin EX. However, 2 did just fine. Otherwise, it'll take up too much of my bench spots, and it is a really bad liability to have on my bench, having only 110 HP, and my opponent can easily knock it out to get 2 prizes. But it does allow me to draw until I have 6 cards in hand, which can help me pull off my combo or draw into ways to get energy to attach to my Pokemon so I can attack. And also its Sky Return attack is pretty convenient as well to do some chip damage. Because with a Choice Band, it's able to do 60 to EXs and GXs, and then I also get the energy and the Choice Band back, and it takes Shaymin out of play. These guys are super, super important in order to pull off my combo. So there's cards in my deck, such as Battle Compressor, that allows me to search my deck for 3 cards, and these are going to be some of the cards I want to discard. They allow themselves to enter my hand at any time from my discard pile. So if I don't have enough cards in my hand, these can help fill the place to discard with cards like Ultra Ball and Superior Energy Retrieval, and they can help me get all my energy back, search out a Pokemon, or help me get off my Archie's Blastoise combo. And this guy is not really used in this deck, at least other people haven't really used it. I played it mainly in here in the spot of my 3rd Shaymin. The reason why I did this is because, one, it is a great card late game when my opponent's going to end me down to a low amount of cards, and just by having him in play I can draw and refresh my hand. He lets me draw until I have 3 cards in my hand, which may not seem like a lot, but the deck thins itself out really well to leave resources, key resources, to help me win the game. And it's also used to help counter Zoroark Exodia, which that is a Yu-Gi-Oh creature, but it's been named that because it tries to lock your opponent's hand out so that they can like win the game. So this helps me prevent my opponent from locking my hand out. It allows me to continue drawing cards and so I can get off my combo and start attacking them. And I actually played against the main creator of the deck throughout the tournament, and this card single-handedly helped me end up getting a tie against him, which I'm okay with, getting a tie compared to losing. And his attack is also pretty good against some other decks or other Pokemon that can threaten my Wailord, such as Vespiquen. It does 60 plus 20 for each energy attached to the active Pokemon. Going into the trainers of the deck, I play 4 Battle Compressor. I kind of mentioned these cards earlier in the video when I was showing you the Execute. This allows me to search my deck for any 3 cards, or up to any 3 cards, and discard them. So some key cards that I'm going to immediately search for are going to be Blastoise, Execute, Archie's Ace in the Hole, either a Water Energy, another Blastoise, another Execute, a draw supporter such as Colress or N, and even throwing away some other like trainers that I have in my deck late game to help thin it out aren't bad choices. Or even discarding 3 Water Energy, because I have a card in my deck called Superior Energy Retrieval that lets me pick up 4 energies from my discard and put them in my hand. So these are absolutely needed in order to make this deck operate. The next card is Computer Search. This card is an ace spec card, meaning that I can only play 1 of them in my deck. Not just 1 Computer Search, only 1 ace spec card. And it is a very, very good card as well. It's very, very strong. That's why they limit it to just 1. It allows me to discard 2 cards from my hand, and I have to then search my deck for any 1 card that I would like. So when I have this card in my hand, I am very, very confident that I will be able to pull off my Archie's combo. I play 1 Field Blower. So this card allows me to discard up to 2 in any combination of tools and stadium cards in play. This card is mainly in here because of a Garbodor card that has the ability Garbotoxin, which when it has a tool attached to it, it turns off all abilities in play aside from Garbotoxin. So my deck relies on using the Deluge ability. So if I can't use Deluge, I won't be able to attack with my Pokemon. So this is an extra out that I have to being able to use my Deluge ability and attack and win the game. I have a love-hate relationship with these cards. So what they say is, flip a coin. If heads, search your deck for an item card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. So with the risk of a coin flip, if I hit heads, I can search my deck for any card, such as Computer Search, which would then allow me to search for any card in my deck. This card is very, very important in order for helping the consistency of getting off the Archie's combo, because if I'm able to hit heads, I can search for any missing piece that I have to get the combo. It also allows me at any time in the game to hit any missing piece that I could have to help me win the game, such as getting a Superior Energy Retrieval or an Ultra Ball or a Field Blower to, you know, knock off that Pokemon tool on that Garbodor that I mentioned earlier. If I could replace these cards with something else, I can't imagine like dropping below a quantity of 4 of this card. I know some people have played only 3 of them in their list, but I want the best odds I have of being able to get essentially any card I want out of my deck because Computer Search exists. The next card is Professor's Letter. So this is a newer art of Professor's Letter. It is actually from the Battle Arena decks that I have here in the background. When I played this card, lots of people would like lean over and grab it and be like, what is that card? Because a lot of people haven't seen this art and it's only exclusive to these Battle Arena decks. I think it looks a million times better than the old art, and I think that it absolutely belongs in this deck, and if I could play another copy of it, I definitely would. I'm not sure what I would be taking out, but allowing myself to search for 2 water energy out of my deck and put them into my hand is an extremely good card when comboing with Blastoise, since I can just attach them to any Pokemon I'd like. And a card like Order Pad allows me to go and get this card with just the flip of a coin. The heart and soul of the deck, Superior Energy Retrieval. At the cost of discarding 2 cards from my hand, I can then search for 4 basic energy out of my discard pile and add them to my hand, which, as you can probably figure out, I can combo that with Deluge. So if one of my Pokemon, such as Wailord, has 5 to 8 energy attached to it and gets knocked out, I can then just recycle those energy and attach them to another Pokemon. It also allows me to discard extra cards from my hand to help get the Archie's combo and get my Blastoise out. It is not ideal to open my hand with Superior Energy Retrievals because then I won't have them for later in the game. There was actually a point where I had to discard 3 of them from my hand just to get off the Archies. I ended up conceding that game because I also had to discard the 4th one at a different point in the game. So all of my energy were kind of stuck in my discard pile, so I just conceded that game and moved on to the next one, as I didn't have another way to get those energy out of my discard pile. I also played 4 Trainer's Mail. This is also another alternate art version of a card. I think it looks a million times better than the original version. They allow me to look at the top 4 cards of my deck, and I can choose a trainer card excluding another Trainer's Mail and put it into my hand. So it's just an extra way for me to search for cards such as Battle Compressor and like Ultra Ball, the Computer Search, Order Pad, just other ways for me to help get off my Archie combo that I have. And I keep talking about Ultra Ball, but here it is. I played 4 of them. They allow me to discard 2 cards from my hand and search my deck for any Pokemon I'd like. So a lot of the times what I would end up doing is discarding 2 cards, such as to Execute. Wherever they went, I could discard 2 Execute and search my deck for any Pokemon. So I could search for a Tapu Lele to go grab the Archies so I can help pull off the combo, or search for an attacker such as Wailord, Magikarp and Wailord, Lugia, or even grab the Blastoise so I can discard it with a different card in my hand. or even grab the Shaymin EX so I can draw until I have 6 in hand. Ultra Ball is extremely important in helping get off the combo, and it's also an extremely important card in almost every single other deck out there. I also played 4 VS Seeker. They allow me to put a supporter card from my discard pile into my hand, so I can, you know, battle Compressor, my Archies, and then if I had a VS Seeker in hand, I can grab the Archies, and then if Archies is the only card in my hand, I can pull off the combo, or I can grab, I'll click show you, I could grab other cards such as Colress or Faba or Guzma and N to help at any other point in the game depending on their specific effect that I needed. I also played 3 Choice Band. This allowed my Wailord, Magikarp and Wailord, to do 30 extra damage to Pokemon EX and GX. So the most popular one that I was trying to hit 210 on was Zoroark GX. So that allowed me to then one-shot it and take 2 prize cards. It also helped against any other Pokemon out there such as Lucario GX or another Wailord GX. Very, very good card. It is used in both the standard and expanded format. I don't expect this card to go anywhere soon. And I played 1 Float Stone. When it's attached to a Pokemon, it gives it a retreat cost of 0. So this allows me to freely switch between my Wailord and another attacker, or if my Blastoise gets brought up to the active, sometimes it got stuck there, and that's how my opponent tried to win the game. I either had to use Guzma to switch out of the active or Float Stone, because I didn't always want to attach all these energies to it and retreat it, because it had a retreat cost of 4. Very good card. If I could play a second one, I would definitely consider it. And as I mentioned before, I did play Archie's Ace in the Hole. Without this card, I wouldn't be able to get my Blastoise into play. The deck wouldn't be able to really exist. So then I wouldn't be able to use that powerful Deluge ability that lets me attach as many waters as I'd like to my Pokemon. I don't play any Squirtle or Wartortle, so this is the only way that I can get Blastoise into play. I haven't seen anyone else playing this card, and I am very surprised by that because, as one of my opponents called it, they called it a pop-off card. So it allows me to shuffle my hand into my deck and draw a card for each bench Pokemon in play, both mine and my opponent's. So in the expanded format, a lot of decks try to get a lot of Pokemon on their bench. So in my deck, I'm trying to draw a bunch of extra cards with Shaymins, and I need to have the Blastoise and, you know, an attacker such as my Wailord or Lugia or even the Oranguru to help me draw extra cards. So generally, I'm going to have 3 to 5 bench Pokemon on like turn 2 or 3. And my opponents, depending on the deck they played, most decks do try to have a full bench of 5, but there's other cards out there, or other decks out there, I'm sorry, that play the card Skyfield, which allow both players to have 8 bench Pokemon, and they're going to try to fill up every single one of those spots on their bench. So with this card, I can draw up to 16 total cards, or more realistically and commonly, I would be drawing probably between 8 and 12 cards. So being able to draw that many cards after I got my Archie combo off, I'm going to most likely draw into a bunch of water energy, a bunch of like superior energy retrievals and battle compressors, and cards that really just allow me to get as many water energies in my hand to try to get that Tag Team GX attack off. The Towering Splash GX. So then I can, you know, do 100 damage to all my opponent's bench Pokemon and potentially win the game. I actually was able to get the combo off multiple times because of this card and thin my deck out, and I am very, very, very happy that I played this card and cannot imagine taking it out of the deck. I also played a card called Faba. This is essentially a Xerosic on steroids. So Xerosic allowed me to discard a tool or special energy attached to any Pokemon in play. This allows me to choose a tool or special energy attached to one of my opponent's Pokemon or a stadium card in play and put it in the lost zone. So it would essentially just completely remove it from play, and it will not be reusable again until the next game. So that's a very similar effect to what Lugia GX did. So this card is also an extra out to getting rid of the tool on a Garbodor that has the Garbotoxin ability. I can reuse Faba with a VS Seeker, so it allows me to continually and more conveniently use Faba and keep getting rid of that tool so I can use my Deluge ability. I also used this card and the Lugia in the Vespiquen matchup, which they are a grass attacker that threatens my Wailord. They are just a single prize attacker, and my goal against that matchup is to just run them out of their double colorless energy. They only play 4 of them, so with Faba, 4 VS Seekers, and my Lugia, I have 6 opportunities to get rid of the 4 double colorless energy. And I was able to do that against one of them during day 2, but he ended up getting the best of the game in game 2, and we ended up tying instead. But I would definitely play both of these cards, especially because Vespiquen was very, very popular. However, it is getting hurt by the most recent ban list update. So we'll just see how popular Vespiquen is going forward since it loses Maxis. But the Vespiquen that I tied against didn't play Maxis in it, so it'll be interesting to see where the deck will be moving forward. I also played a Guzma, which allows me to choose one of my opponent's bench Pokemon and make it their active Pokemon. But I also have to switch my active Pokemon with one of my benched. So this allows me to choose whoever I would like to attack. And then I played 1N. This card allows both players to shuffle their hand into the deck and draw a card for each of their remaining prize cards. So this was very, very good late game when my opponent is close to winning the game. I can make them shuffle their hand in and draw usually between 1, 2, or 3 cards, and then I can just throw up my whale and hope that they don't have a way to either go around it with Guzma or that they don't have a way to knock it out. And then I also played 10 Water Energy, which will allow me to use the attacks of all my Pokemon, and how Blastoise is able to attach them and get them in play. Alright, I just thought that I would quickly lay out the deck so it can all be seen in one picture and all the cards that are in it. One thing that I would like to point out is that I did not play a Silent Lab card, which turns off the abilities of all basic Pokemon. There is a pesky little card out there called Mr. Mime. It has an ability called Bench Barrier, I believe, and it prevents all damage done to benched Pokemon, so it kind of goes against, it's a direct counter to my Wailord, my Magikarp and Wailord GX attack. So if I would play this deck again, I would definitely fit in a Silent Lab. I would probably end up cutting the Oranguru for that card. And I just want to say that Dallas Regionals was a great experience, and it did feel amazing to be playing in a big tournament again. There was over 800 people there, and thankfully everything went really well, and I was able to finish in 27th place. I'm excited to be, kind of playing in tournaments once again. I don't know which tournaments I'll be going to again recently. I'm not trying for my Worlds invite, but I am more open to going to tournaments to at least test my skills and see how I would do. But if I was to play in another expanded tournament soon, I would definitely consider this deck again. It was a blast. I played the same list with 3 other people, and they didn't do as well as I did, but they had a great time as well. The deck is just super, super fun to play. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you'd love to see more videos like this and more videos from me, please like this video and click that subscribe button if you haven't already. I also want to just give a quick shout out to Jeff for giving me the opportunity to showcase this deck and share it with everyone as well. Thank you for watching.